Vamos a comenzar lección 2. Vamos a repasar el verbo estar. Vamos a hablar de condiciones, posición, emociones y la forma de usted un poco. Vamos a aprender nuevas formas de pronunciar la letra U, la diferencia entre qué versus cuál y descripciones físicas. Any questions from lesson 1? ¿Preguntas de la primera lección?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so the letter U in Spanish is typically pronounced U. Like, repeat after me. Cuba.
Cuba.
Uno.
Uno.
Mucho.
Mucho.
Muy bien. It can also produce like this we sound if it comes between the letter C and I or A. Okay, so repeat after me. Cuidado.
Cuidado.
Cuando.
Cuando.
Muy bien. It can also perform that, make that same sound if it has these two little dots over it, like linguista.
Linguista.
Bilingüe.
Bilingüe.
Yeah, very few of these, so don't worry about that one too much. Finally, it can become silent if it comes in between, on one side, a Q or a G, and on the other side, an E or an I. So kind of lots of rules here. So repeat after me. ¿Qué?
¿Qué?
¿Quién?
¿Quién?
Guerra.
Guerra.
Guía.
Guía.
Muy bien. Okay. Moving on along. In English, we would use the word what for these questions. Spanish, it might change depending on exactly what you're talking about. There's kind of a gray area between the words que and cual and the way that we use them in English, right? So,
I'm so glad we're going over this. This is something I've been so confused by.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's not really a good answer here, right? It's going to be highly situational in Spanish, and you kind of have to listen to the verbal cues that people are using in conversations and pay attention to those. At the end of the day, you know, if you're supposed to say cual and you say que, or vice versa, typically because of the context of the conversation, people are still going to understand
It's
you.
okay. Yeah.
So don't worry about it too much. But yeah, if you've been observing, like, wait a second, isn't that supposed to be which? But he's saying, yeah, that is a thing that's happening. So
okay.
Okay, so let's practice. Vamos a practicar. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Mi nombre, or would I just say, yeah, mi nombre es Kaylee.
Muy bien.
Okay.
¿Qué te gusta comer?
Me gusta quesadillas.
Here, because quesadillas is plural, you should say me gustan quesadillas.
Okay, me gustan las quesadillas.
Now, you could complete the sentence like me gusta comer quesadillas.
Okay.
So it's singular here because comer is an action, it's a singular action, right?
Okay.
¿Qué te gusta tomar?
Me gusta tomar Diet Coke.
¿A qué te dedicas?
So, ¿qué significa that phrase? Like what
do you do for work?
Oh.
It looks like, what do you dedicate yourself to?
Yeah. I was confused. Okay. So I am I work in tech. So
yeah.
So I would say trabajo en tecnología. Tecnología.
Muy bien.
Okay.
¿Y qué te hace reír?
¿Qué significa reír?
Reír is to laugh. What makes you laugh? ¿Qué te hace reír?
Animales.
Los animales.
Los animales, yeah.
Perfecto. Okay, let's review the verb estar. So remember, it means to be, but it's irregular. So how can you conjugate it here?
Yo estoy. Tú estás. Él está. Nosotros estamos. Estáis, okay. And then ellos están.
Perfecto. Muy bien.
Yay.
All right. Now, as we're going to soon see, there's actually two verbs in Spanish that mean to be. So it gets a little confusing. Spanish differentiates between what would be considered temporary states of being versus more permanent states of being. And there's some gray areas in here. So it's Spanish is Spanish, right? So this is one of the harder things for our American English speaking brains to kind of wrap, get used to. But to dive in a little bit more specifically, temporary states of being are represented with this place acronym, which stands for like position or location. So if you think about like, my telephone is here and now it's over here, right? I can move that around. Actions, which we'll see a little bit further in the future, and then conditions and emotions, right? Like if I were to say, the street is dry today, it starts raining and then it's wet and then the sun comes out and it dries off again. Like that's a temporary condition that can kind of change back and forth fairly easily. Okay. So, muy bien. ¿Cómo está el café?
So, ¿cómo está? I guess I'm confused. So like, how do I like my coffee?
So it's how is the coffee?
How is the coffee?
So we're looking for a description.
Oh, because
like you would answer, it is hot.
It is. So I would say está. What is hot? Oh, shoot, what is hot?
Caliente.
Frío is cold. Caliente. Okay. I knew cold. couldn't okay. So está is like saying it is, and like it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
¿Cómo está el agua?
El agua está fría.
¿Cómo está el agua?
El agua está caliente.
¿Cómo estás después de comer?
Yo estoy muy lleno. Yeah.
And in your situation, you'd say Jaina is a female.
Okay.
¿Cómo está la caja?
La caja está vacía.
¿Cómo está ella?
Ella está cómoda.
Cómoda.
The accent on the O. Okay, cómoda.
Yeah, it's an awkward word for the English mouth, for sure.
Yeah.
¿Cómo está ella?
Ella está incómoda.
¿Cómo está tu carro?
Mi carro estoy? Or no, mi carro está?
Mi carro está, because you're talking about the car, not you,
me.
Right?
Got it. Okay, so
you're getting confused by the possessive adjective.
Yeah.
My car, but you're,
Okay.
remember there's a difference between my and I.
And I.
Right?
Okay.
¿Cómo está la ropa?
La ropa está seca.
¿Cómo están los perros?
Los perros estás mojados?
Why would you think estás? Estás.
Or I guess
you
están.
Están, yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
Just like in the question, right?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, it is in the Jeez. The clue is right there. I was trying to figure it out.
Okay. ¿Cómo está el señor?
El señor está limpio.
Try that again.
Estás. El señor estás limpio.
Okay, so why would it be estás? What does estás mean?
I guess it would be estás. Estás would be you.
Yeah, estás is you are. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So el señor está limpio.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
¿Cómo está el monstruo de Frankenstein?
Él está vivo.
Muy bien. ¿Cómo está la botella?
La botella está empty. Empty is like
Vacía.
vacía. Okay, we just looked at that.
Yeah. So do you have the book for this level, Kaylee?
I do.
Yeah.
I
This
do. I just
this
haven't.
level gets a little, kind of at the beginning, especially, it gets a little vocab heavy.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it would be a really good idea to make sure you're hitting those flashcards on a,
Yeah.
2-3 times a day
Okay.
to get this vocabulary down, because
Okay.
we've got two things going on, right? We're learning new vocabulary. We're also learning new grammar.
Mhm.
And for one thing, the grammar is super hard if you don't know the vocabulary.
Yeah.
So spend a few extra minutes to study that vocab. That'll help
Okay.
you a lot. ¿Cómo está la bolsa de dinero?
La bolsa de dinero está llena, or I would say, okay, yeah, llena.
¿Cómo está la pizarra?
La pizarra está blank. Was that? I don't know what I'm saying about the la pizarra.
Clean is what we're looking for.
Is clean. So that is, I just saw that. No, limpio.
Limpia.
Okay,
Yes,
because it's pizarra. Okay, limpia.
¿Cómo está el perro?
El perro está sucio.
Muy bien, está muy sucio.
Yeah.
¿Cómo están el té y el café?
El té y el café está caliente.
And here you need to say están, because you're talking about two things.
Both. Okay.
Yeah, let me give you a little, let's do this, right? All right, so there's certain conversational exchanges that will take place, right? So if I'm asking you a question with estás, you're going to answer with estoy, right?
Okay.
Because
yes.
if you think about that, estás means you are.
You and I.
Exactly, right? So I could say, ¿estás contenta? And you would answer, sí, estoy contenta, right?
Yep. Okay.
All right. So that's the primary one that you want to look out for, because most of your conversations are going to look like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the third person, right, it's going to correspond directly. So like if I'm talking whatever, if the question is está, right? If I'm talking about, let's say, your car.
Mm-hmm.
¿Tu carro está limpio? So está is the car is, so you're going to answer that same way. Sí, mi carro está limpio, right?
Okay. Okay.
So that's the one that seems to be confusing you a little bit.
Yeah.
Person,
okay.
Right?
Yes.
Now with nosotros, right? If we want to look at the conversational exchanges with nosotros, you've got the direct way where you're saying estamos and then you're answering estamos.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Because yeah, we. Uh-huh.
So like I could say, estamos en la clase? And you would say, sí, estamos en la clase. Are we in class? Yes, we are in class, right?
Okay. Okay.
So the verb doesn't change there.
Okay.
Unless I'm asking you in the ustedes form, like ustedes están,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could answer nosotros estamos.
Estamos. Okay.
Right? So like maybe I'm asking about you and your boyfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
¿Tú y tu novio están en Denver hoy? And then you could say, sí, estamos en Denver, right? There's that conversational exchange.
Okay.
Are you in Denver? Yes, we are in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the third person plural, which would also be están. And then you're going to answer with están, right? Because
okay,
here,
because it's plural. Okay.
Yeah, because here, like on, I think it was that last one that we were just doing, right? Como están el té y el café, right? I named them both singularly, but I'm talking in the plural form because there's two items, right?
Okay.
How are the tea and the coffee? And if you're looking to say they are hot.
Okay.
Right? So this would also be helpful to perhaps make some individual flashcards to study these little verb conjugations, right? So that you can just study individually that estoy means I am, estás means you are.
You are.
Está means he is, she is, or it is, right? So you can kind of isolate those, because I think
I like that. I'll do that.
What I'm seeing with this activity here is and it's like I said, we've got the new grammar, we've got the new verb conjugation, which you learn, and you don't have the vocab solid.
Yep.
So if you don't have the vocab super solid, that confuses you and takes your brain power away from what is potentially more important, which is the verb conjugation, right? And we're kind of, by nature, when we're talking about the state of being, we're also exercising something that's really hard, which is that masculine, feminine, singular, plural thing. Because if you notice, we're using adjectives here, right?
Yeah.
So caliente is the adjective, but here, because we have two items, we also have to make it plural, right? And so that's why I always say the first step is to really focus on memorizing vocabulary. So then when it comes to actually speaking the language, you at least have you understand what everything means, right?
Yeah.
So without the comprehension, without the understanding, and that was kind of what we were working on in the last level too, when we got into the full verb chart, right? Is you were able to conjugate the verbs, but then you were like not necessarily associating the right meaning with them.
Yes. Yes. I was just doing the thing.
You were just doing the verb drill, right? Without associating the meaning. So you want to definitely associate, first and foremost is meaning. Associate the meaning with what we're actually talking about, and that's going to help you out a lot. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, it does. I also, in one of the emails that I got recently, was like a recommendation to download Duolingo, and I've never used that before.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, I feel like it's been super helpful. So, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, vocab is the number one
name
of the game, the grammar, and this is where I have a big disconnection from most teachers, is that grammar, I believe, will fall into place on its own over time. Like every now and then do activities to kind of reinforce it and try to make better sense of it. But it's like, if you look at the way little kids learn their first language, there's not one 3-year-old that has ever been handed a book of grammar by their parents,
No, that's a good point. And I guess, and over time you kind of learn what sounds right and what doesn't. And that also helps, so okay.
There's a bit in the kind of newer, it's funny because it's actually these theories have been around since the 70s, but they still haven't caught on very well. But like the newer people that are focused on second language acquisition are all pretty much in agreement on the fact that grammar plays a very minor role in language.
That's so funny.
In the true language learning process,
like,
right?
Comprehension. Yeah.
And it makes sense, like, because I taught you some rules earlier about the letter U, right? And that's a pronunciation rule. That's not even a grammar rule. That's a pronunciation rule. Now, can you tell me what all the 5 different rules I just told you about that one, right? So you just mentioned something that I theorize is more important than just about anything else. And I kind of associate it like muscle memory. Like if you have ever tried to play golf or swing a baseball bat, like it's a really awkward movement for your body. Like our body doesn't naturally move that way. So before you can really play golf, you have to spend a lot of time just on the mechanics and just like swinging the golf club, right? And I've got a great example for you there. I'm terrible at golf because I've never been taught the right way to swing the club. And I don't know how I do it, but I somehow make the ball go backwards when I hit it, right? And I'm sure that's just muscle, like if somebody taught me the right way to do it, you know? But I kind of feel like even there, like somebody could explain to me exactly how to move the golf club and get into like specific angles and trigonometry type forces and stuff like that, you know? But at the end of the day, you just have to go and swing it and you get used to moving it that way. And then you build like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like what we were talking about with grammar is like sometimes, you know, when we're speaking English, I could probably ask you, why do you say it like that? And you wouldn't know the answer. You wouldn't know the grammar rule, but you know it's the right way. And then that's when you're like, well, it just sounds right.
It sounds right. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And that was something I kind of was finding out like with like Duolingo, because it goes into like eres.
And we're going to get into that next.
And I just knew that it sounded right. And I don't know why, and I don't know the rules or whatever, but I just knew in the sentence that goes there because it sounded right. And I don't know why I knew that.
I mean, that's good. That's like you're developing that muscle memory. Right? I mean, that's more of a natural approach, you know?
Yeah.
Now, as adults, I think it is worth studying the grammar more than, you know, a little kid would, because we have that cognitive capability and we've got our first language. And so when we can kind of relate certain things to our first language, it can kind of make it click in place, right?
Yep.
So, cool. All right. ¿Cómo están las cervezas?
Las cervezas están frías.
And then you make that plural.
Frías.
¿Cómo está la muchacha?
La muchacha está relaxed.
You could say tranquila. I think here we probably have comfortable. Está
okay. Cool. Yes. Okay.
So go ahead and say that for me.
La muchacha está cómoda.
¿Cómo está el hombre?
El hombre está incómodo.
Incómodo.
Okay. Because it's a long O. So cómodo.
You said that part fine. It was the ending. You made it feminine, right?
Okay.
¿Cómo está Buffalo Bill?
Buffalo Bill está muerto.
Muy bien.
Muerto.
¿Y cómo estás?
Yo estoy, yo estoy vivo.
Muy bien.
Okay.
And you would actually say viva as a female.
Viva.
¿Cómo estamos nosotros?
Nosotros estamos wet, or
looking for.
Wet. So húmedo. I don't know.
No idea where you're going with that one, but wet is mojados.
Mojado. So I don't know why Mohammed. Mixed up the J and the M. So mojados. Okay.
¿Cómo están las flores?
Las flores es so seco.
Okay, so let's try that again. ¿Cómo están las flores?
Las flores están seco.
And then we need to make that feminine and plural.
Because it's las.
Is
So las flores están secas. Okay.
¿Cómo te gusta la cerveza?
Me gusta la cerveza frío.
And it would be fría because it's la cerveza.
I get that. Okay. Frío. Fría. Me gusta el agua frío.
And so that's a funny one. Agua is actually feminine. We're using the el agua to break the double A.
La agua. Okay.
So it's not
So
el
el
agua,
agua.
it would be el agua, but it is feminine. So you'd say fría.
So fría still. Okay.
Yeah.
So me gusta el café caliente.
Muy bien.
Me gusta mi casa cómodo.
Cómoda. Cómoda, muy bien.
Me gusta mis hijos. No hijos.
Okay, so here you could say no tengo hijos.
No tengo hijos.
¿Cómo te gusta tu cuenta bancaria?
Bancaria. What is that? My bank account?
Muy bien.
Cuenta? Yes, okay. So me gusta mi cuenta bancaria. What would llena?
Llena, muy bien.
Llena. Okay.
¿Cómo te gusta estar?
So what is that? So what do I like? It's just
not
open.
what do you like? How do you like to be?
How do I like to be? Oh, so I would say me gusta estoy feliz.
Me gusta estar feliz.
Estar. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're saying I like to be, right? Not like, not I like I am. I like to be.
I like to be. Okay, estar.
Sí, muy bien. ¿Cómo te gusta trabajar?
Me gusta trabajar cómoda.
In that situation, you could say cómodo because it's,
okay.
Because you're talking about working, not you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bien. Okay, so in a little more detail, we can use estar to talk about where things are located with the word donde, right? ¿Dónde están las llaves? So go ahead and read that answer to me.
Las llaves están en la mesa.
Muy bien. So in can mean in, on, or at, depending on the context in Spanish. Here are some important rooms for your house and some items that you might find in the room. So as I'm going through these, tell me if you need me to explain what something means, okay?
Okay.
Bueno, la televisión, el sofá y la chimenea están en la sala.
Okay.
La mesa, las sillas y los platos están en el comedor. ¿Sí? La cama, la almohada y la manta están en el dormitorio.
¿Qué significa la almohada?
Almohada.
Almohada.
The H is silent, so it's almohada. Significa el pillow.
Oh, okay.
Y el refrigerador, el gabinete y el horno están en la cocina.
¿Qué significa el horno?
The oven.
Oven, okay.
La tina, la bañera. La tina o la bañera, it's the same thing. El inodoro y la toalla están en el baño.
Okay.
¿Sí? Muy bien. ¿Dónde está la televisión?
La televisión está en we just went over this. La sala.
La sala.
Sala. In la sala. So, okay.
Do you want to go back here and take some notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this should all be in your book too, by the way.
Okay. All right. I am ready.
¿Sí? Okay.
Mhm.
¿Dónde está la mesa?
La mesa está in el comedor.
Muy
Would
bien.
I say el comedor? Okay. Okay.
Yep. ¿Dónde está la cama?
La cama está en el dormitorio.
¿Dónde está el refrigerador?
El
It's a hard one.
refrigerador.
I've been speaking
Refrigerador?
Spanish for 21 years now, and this word is still hard.
Ooh,
El
yeah.
So remember to break things always down by the vowels, right?
A,
So we've got A, E,
E,
A, O.
O.
A, E, A, O. A,
Re,
E, A, O. Then you start adding everything else in. Re, fri, he, ra, dor.
Refrigerador. 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 Okay. It's
Good.
hard. It's a mouthful.
No, you do not have to apologize, especially on this word, because
okay.
I still like, it gives me anxiety every time I
Yeah. Está en la cocina.
Muy bien. ¿Dónde está la tina?
La tina está en el baño.
¿Dónde está el sofá?
El sofá está en la sala.
¿Dónde están las sillas?
Las sillas están en el comedor.
¿Dónde están las almohadas?
Las almohadas están en el dormitorio.
¿Dónde están los gabinetes?
Los gabinetes están en la cocina.
¿Dónde está el inodoro?
El inodoro está en el baño.
¿Dónde está la chimenea?
La chimenea está en la sala.
¿Dónde están los platos?
Los platos están en el comedor.
¿Dónde está la manta?
La manta está en el dormitorio.
¿Dónde está el horno?
El horno está en la cocina.
¿Dónde están las toallas?
Las toallas están en el baño.
¿Dónde estás?
So, ¿dónde estás? Where are you?
Yep.
So, estoy en Denver.
Muy bien. ¿Dónde están tus padres?
Mis padres están en Michigan.
¿Dónde está tu casa?
Mi casa está en Denver.
¿Y tu trabajo?
Trabajo en Denver.
Okay. ¿Dónde está el baño?
El baño está en mi casa. Would I say that?
Está
Like,
bien.
I guess.
¿Dónde están tus llaves?
¿Qué significa tus llaves?
Your keys.
My keys. So mis llaves están en la cocina. They're in the kitchen right now for no reason.
Están en la cocina, perfecto.
Okay.
¿Dónde está tu dinero?
Mi dinero está en la banco.
El banco.
El banco.
Muy
Oh,
bien.
why el banco?
Muy bien. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
Ujú. ¿Cómo están tus amigos?
Should I be like mis amigos están? Just make it a complete sentence.
Ujú,
Okay. So mis amigos están contento.
ujú. And then make it plural. Contento.
Contentos. Okay, that's something I have to pay attention to. Plural. Okay.
¿Cómo está tu casa?
Mi casa está bien.
Mm-hmm. So here we might be talking about like clean or dirty,
Clean.
or
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like,
Okay. Oh, that makes more sense. Okay, so mi casa está limpio.
and then it's la casa, so it'd be
Limpia.
¿Cómo
Okay.
está tu casa?
Mi casa está limpia.
Perfecto. ¿Cómo está la calle hoy?
La calle. ¿Qué significa la calle?
La calle is the street.
The street. So la calle está llena.
¿Cómo están tus padres?
Mis padres están contentos.
¿Cómo está el café de McDonald's?
El café de McDonald's está limpio, or I guess how would I say full? I mean, lleno.
The coffee is full?
Oh my gosh. I read it like the cafe, like at McDonald's, like
Remember, cafe means coffee.
Means coffee. I know.
In Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
Cafeteria is the word that you're thinking of.
Cafeteria.
Cafe.
Okay. So el café de McDonald's está caliente.
¿Cómo están los novios?
Los novios están I don't know, contentos.
¿Cómo está tu gabinete de alcohol?
Mi gabinete de alcohol está lleno.
¿Cómo está el presidente hoy?
El presidente está contento.
¿Cómo está Elvis en tu opinión?
Elvis está, well, I mean, Elvis está muerto. Yeah.
Muy bien. Cuéntanos de ti. Tell us about yourself, right? So if you were to ask me to tell you about myself, I would say, yo vivo en Denver, hablo con mis padres cada fin de semana, enseño español y aprendo portugués, escribo correos electrónicos todos los días a mis clientes, recibo cheques en el correo, me gusta comer comida cubana, también me gusta correr en el parque y caminar en las montañas. Cuéntame de ti. ¿Pregunta?
¿Qué significa enseño?
I teach.
Teach. Okay. In Portuguese. Okay. I see that.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Entonces, cuéntame de ti. Tell me about yourself, Kaylee. Try and give me about 8 sentences, 8 to 10 sentences.
Okay. So, yo vivo en Denver. Me gusta montar el caballo or mi caballo. I just the
Está
horse.
bien.
What else? Yo Yo estudiar español.
Yo estudio.
Estudio, okay. Yo estudio español. Ordeno, ordeno la quesadilla would I say in el restaurante or in, yeah. Discutio con mis hermanos. Yo bebo las cervezas. La cerveza. What else can I use? Yo camino en las montañas. And yo como las manzanas.
Okay, muy bien.
I have an apple every day, cada día.
Bien, bien.
Okay.
Kaylee, when it comes to learning a new language, the more you can make it relevant to your personal life and your personal journey here, the better it's going to be for you. So what does that mean? Look around yourself. You know, do you know how to say everything that you can see? Chances are probably not, right? And are you in like your office, because you're working from home right now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I have my office is right here.
So kind of a really good activity you can do is to start getting these like sticky notes.
Okay.
And just look around, right? And everything that you see, like you've got the computer in front of you, write down la computadora and then put it on your computer. The desk would be el escritorio. You know, the wall is la pared, the bookshelf, el estante, like literally everything that you can see. Get your little Spanish English dictionary, look stuff up and start to label it. And I'm happy to teach you anything right now that you can think of that you want to learn. But the idea with this activity is that these are things, you know, obviously we spend most of our time at work in our office, right? And so the more you can start familiarizing yourself with things that are in your surroundings, it's going to help you out a lot. And I like this a lot too, because it'll help to kind of create more of an immersive experience for you, because every time you sit down to work and you look at your computer and you see la computadora, that's going to remind you like, oh yeah, I'm learning Spanish, right? And it's just a quick little way to kind of incorporate Spanish into your daily life.
Okay.
So yeah, anything I can teach you on the fly?
Yeah, ¿cómo se dice notebook?
Cuaderno.
El cuaderno. ¿Cómo se dice like sticky notes or post-its?
You could say los papelitos.
Okay, yeah.
So papel means paper.
Paper.
Right? And then a papelito is a little piece of paper.
Okay. Okay. Libros. ¿Cómo se dice like mouse?
Like for the computer mouse? El ratón.
Okay. ¿Cómo se dice keyboard?
Yeah, el teclado.
El teclado. I think, how about, ¿cómo se dice monitor?
Sí, muy bien. La pantalla.
I would have never guessed that. La pantalla.
Yeah, so did you get a chance to write those down?
No, that was written down right now?
Yeah, go ahead and write them down.
Okay.
And then, you know, remember in the last course, we had talked about creating dialogues and kind of customized vocabulary lists. So again, this is just another quick reminder that is just a little tip for you that you should be doing at least once a week, try and create a little dialogue of where you envision yourself speaking Spanish in a conversation that you would be having, right? Another way you can go about that is we literally have our entire lives in our cell phones these days.
Yeah.
So you could look back at like your last 2 or 3 email exchanges, text messages, Facebook messages, like however you communicate with people digitally. Guess what? That's exactly what you need to learn how to say because those are real life conversations, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can look at your last few, I think the important thing is that it's an exchange, right? It's an exchange of information. So like, think about an email chain that you have back and forth with your boss. Or the last, I know you speak Spanish with your boyfriend, right? But like, look at the last few text messages, like things like that. And that'll be eye-opening. Like, oh, this is what I really am saying. So this is what I really need to learn how to say.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And from there, you can always bring those to me and we can translate them together to make sure, because things don't translate 100%. So make sure that you're learning the right things. And you can also, take vocabulary lists out of that. So you'll start to identify certain patterns. Yeah. And that's where, I teach a generalized conversational program where I try and get my students talking and teach, but I have to teach everybody everything, right? Yeah. But Kaylee is an IT, consultant that rides horses and, goes out with her boyfriend to do whatever they do on the wheel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a very path in this language, and the more you can identify what you're actually saying, the faster you'll actually start speaking Spanish. Saying it. Okay. Cool. All right, we've got some new vocabulary. So can you read these examples to me here?
Joven and viejo. So
read the full sentence. Él es joven, él es viejo.
Okay. Él es joven, él es viejo. Él es fuerte, él es débil. Yo soy optimista, yo soy pesimista. Él es alto, él es bajo.
Okay, muy bien. Bien, Kaylee, so we've got just a few minutes left, so I'm just going to run through this super quick. This is the 4th easy step from that original orange book that we were looking at. Quick review. We talked about the first step was to create your Spanish journal. Have you been doing that?
Yeah, and just kind of trying to go through, and I guess it's less of a journal and more of just kind of a running list of like flashcards that I try to categorize, but
so keep in mind, like, you want to try and divide that into like 5 sections, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But ultimately it's your Spanish journal, right? So write whatever you want to in there, right? And then from that, if you're doing the dialogues, you should be starting to identify certain vocabulary words that you should be learning. So try and memorize 10 new words a day at least, right? Okay. Like, you can certainly do more than that. And now that we're in level number 2, it's all about the vocabulary. So once you've gotten kind of into it, like when I study languages, I'll bang out 50 at a time. I'm not saying that you need to step it up to that, but try and bump it up a little bit. Get up to 20 words. You can go back through your old words every now and then, but always constantly be trying to get at least 10 new words a day, maybe 20 new words a day. The third step is enroll in conversation classes. Which you've already done with me. This is it's such a new concept. I actually have to teach a lot of people to understand. There's a huge difference in the way you can learn Spanish, Yeah. And so what I do is pretty unique. The 4th easy step that we're going to talk about today is practice, 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 right? In Spanish, we have like in English, we say practice makes perfect. In Spanish, there's a good saying, la práctica hace al maestro. The practice makes the teacher or makes the master, right? You can't master anything unless you practice it. You probably know from riding horses, right? That if you're competing professionally, to do tricks or whatever it is you're doing, you have to practice a lot, right? So learning how to speak a Spanish, you know, this sounds so odd, but I can only do a small piece of it as your teacher. It's one of the few things where the vast majority, you know, at least 75% of this is all up to you.
On me, yeah.
So how do you practice? Well, first and foremost, you have to get really good at introducing yourself in Spanish. And that's why, like in the last level, almost on a daily basis, we would do that introduction, right? Because that's, you have to make Spanish friends. You're in a great situation because your boyfriend speaks Spanish, but sometimes that can also become like a crutch too.
100%, 100%, yeah.
If you only feel comfortable talking to him, and then that's only going to get you, so like you really need to surround yourself with Spanish. Every time you hear somebody speaking Spanish, hola, me llamo Kaylee, podemos practicar, right? So now I'm going to tell you some other ways you can find Spanish speakers and good places to practice, right? And, you know, this is something that I can't say strongly enough. You don't have to master Spanish to start speaking it. Yeah. Right? It's like what we were talking about earlier with the muscle memory, you know. You know, it's not muscle. I don't know exactly what, some of it is muscle memory because you have muscles in your face that you like refrigerador. That is literally muscle memory. That to say that word, say it out loud, say it slowly and gradually increase it until you get it right, because that is actually muscle memory, because those are the muscles, and we don't have words in English that make that mimic that, like we don't make that movement with our mouth. And in my opinion, that's one of the hardest words. That would probably be the hardest word. Right? We always talk about anaranjado in the first level. Now in level 2, it's refrigerador because you've got those R's in there too. Right? So some of this stuff, like when I talk about, you know, getting really good at introducing yourself, you don't have to master it, because you're never going to master it until you master it. You're never going to master something until you go out there and do it. And sometimes I get students that get so worked up about it that they never go out and actually start speaking the language with people. You know. So in my opinion, perfection is not the goal. Communication is the goal. If you can go out to eat at a Mexican restaurant and order your food in Spanish, even if you made 50 grammatical errors and mispronounced something, and you know, like, hey, guess what? You just did something that 99% of Americans can't do. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you know? So you just got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, get started. And here you're lucky because if you live in Denver, you're surrounded by Spanish speakers, right? Now you got your boyfriend, but there's other like if you can find a conversation partner that you work with, someone in your family, your neighbors, you know, start asking around, hey, my name's Kaylee, I'm learning Spanish, I really want to practice. Can we start meeting for coffee once a week or happy hour? Something like that. Try and get outside of your comfort zone, outside of just your boyfriend. Try and find a, you know, some other friends that speak Spanish that you can meet with, right? And if work, family, and neighbors proves, you know, that you don't have anybody else in your network, just go to the Mexican restaurants, you know, and you already did something. I'm so proud of you, which is you ordered that cake in Spanish. Saturday is going to be the moment of truth when I pick it up. Let's see if you got a cake or if you ordered a cooler of beers. Who knows? Who knows? If you got a tres leches cake, then then I won. Like that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can only imagine that you were nervous when you made that phone call. I was so nervous. But that feeling, that rush is something that like, once you do it a dozen times, that goes away, you know, that nervous, and I know all about it because I was that person 20 years ago, and I remember like how nervous I would get. And so the only way to do it is just to do it, you know. So here's your simple introduction that you want to master. Hola, me llamo Kaylee, ¿cómo te llamas? Soy de Estados Unidos, ¿de dónde eres? Estoy aprendiendo español, podemos practicar. You should do that like 10 times a day.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
To make it stick to your brain, to make it so your mouth gets used to the right way, to make it so that the next time you're at the gas station and you hear somebody speak in Spanish, you say it, right?
Okay.
And the reason why this works, Kaylee, this is just basic human psychology. We are social beings. We have this built into us. And it's so weird where we are with technology and social media that's kind of getting us away from this. Like, you're a little younger than me, I think. How old are you? Like 25?
31.
31. Okay, you're not that well. You're still a decade younger. But, you know, like, I remember the days where people actually talk to each other. I remember when I didn't have a cell phone. Do you remember ever not having a cell phone?
Yeah.
So like things that, like, we used to have to ask each other for directions. Hey, where's that restaurant at? I'm looking, you know, we don't do that anymore. But there's psychology built into this introduction, right? And if you think about it like this, as bad as you want to practice Spanish, most of those Spanish speakers also want to practice English. You know, most of the Spanish speakers around here have that desire to improve their English, you know? And it's just when it comes to meeting people, everybody's nervous. And that's why, like, your first day at work, we do these ridiculous icebreaker activities sometimes, you know, like, and that's all about trying to break that nervousness, right? So if you've ever been in a situation where, like, you've had some awkward glances with somebody and then you walk away feeling like, man, I wish I would have just said hi to that person, you know, like that the other person is probably thinking that same thing, you know? So it's just a matter of somebody starting the conversation. And that's why I say, if it can be you to say, hola, me llamo Kaylee, ¿cómo te llamas? It's the most simple icebreaker in the world and probably the most effective one at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So once you've gotten really good at those first kind of introductory questions, right? Here are some good places where you can do it, right? Go to your local Mexican restaurant, but where people don't necessarily think about it, right? When you sit down at that table, the server is yours for the next 30 to 60 minutes, right? So it's not just about ordering food, right? Make small talk. Introduce yourself to the server. Tell the server what your name is. Ask for a recommendation. Let's say you already know you're going to get the chicken fajitas no matter what. Doesn't matter. Just ask for a recommendation to get a conversation going, right? Try to order. Ask what things mean on the menu. If you can go, like, when you go to pick up the cake at the store, you know, again, introduce yourself. Talk, you know, think about if we were going into a gas station, what would you make small talk about? You know, we talk about the Broncos all the time here in Denver, right? Rockies or whatever it is. You do the same thing in Spanish. And probably the best place to practice would be a bar or a coffee shop. If you can find Spanish speakers at one of those places, right? Because they're social gathering places in the first place. Like, people are actively going, you know, nobody goes to a bar to say, hey, I want to sit by myself in the corner for the rest of the night, right? In cafes, you know, it might be a little harder with a coffee shop, but like when I lived in Argentina, that's what I would do. In the morning, I would go get a coffee, order a little pastry, and look around the little cafe. And if I found somebody that looked like they might be available, I would go and introduce myself. Notice the first step, introduce yourself for all of these situations. I would offer to buy the person a cup of coffee and practice with me, right? And it works brilliantly. It works brilliantly. And there are definitely, you know, Latino hangout spots here in Denver. So Cool. This is another book that I wrote that it's got over 500 conversation starters and it's available on Amazon. It's called Let's Start Talking, a bilingual book for English and Spanish students.
Okay.
And on one page, it's all in English, and on the other page, it's all in Spanish. And all it is conversation starters, questions. So it's got over 500 questions. This book is like $10, I think.
I think I got it. I think
good.
I ordered it. Yeah, I think I'm looking. Yeah.
So this book is exactly for that situation. Once you find
Okay.
the conversation partner, sometimes you come to like a lull in the conversation. You're not sure what to say. You know, you get to that awkward silence. That's where you bust the book out. And it's just used to get through those little awkward silences.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Do lesson number 2 to practice.